Hello and welcome to the Ride Home podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Mulholland, and today we are talking Dolphins football. The Miami Dolphins have thrown the pads on for the first time this NFL season, and it is always a good feeling. You can get a little smell in the air that football season is almost upon us. There is football on Thursday night this week with the Hall of Fame game, and then from there on out, after that, it is NFL preseason, and then that will turn into the NFL season, and everybody is rearing to go. So, a couple things about the Dolphins: they throw the pads on for the first time, go into an 11-on-11 drills and practice, and get the feel with all the gear on today, which is a great sign, especially for Bradley Chubb. It's awesome to see him back in pads. He is going to be a big key piece, key contributor to the Dolphins front seven. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Dolphins front seven um, later on. But we're going to start with the Ashtyn Davis news. Ashtyn Davis was um, walking gingerly off the field, uh, according to Elaine Poupart on Twitter or X. Sorry, uh, got another injury in the secondary. This time it's safety Ashtyn Davis, who stayed down after an 11-on-11 snap, hobbled to the sideline, clearly favoring his left leg. Mike McDaniel and Anthony Weaver went over to see him. He would then return to the field soon after using crutches and wearing a boot on that foot. It's not a great sign to see that. Davis was a guy that was called in to be a big piece of the Dolphins safety room. Him and uh, Minka Fitzpatrick obviously were the main key contributors that the Dolphins thought they were going to see, um, as well as Afeatu M- Melifonwu. Sorry, I always mess up that speaking. So Melifonwu, um, always he is supposed to be back soon, according to McDaniel. McDaniel said that on Monday during his press conference. So hopefully, this injury with Davis is nothing serious, and you start to see um, the safety room kind of form the way that the Dolphins had envisioned over the course of the offseason. Another key note is Tua continues to have a strong camp. Um, he has been fantastic so far. Very, very few miscues. Don't believe he has thrown an interception unless I missed it from today's practice, but he went 5 days through without throwing an interception. But there is this kind of interesting conversation of who's going to be QB2. Obviously, the Dolphins signed Zach Wilson in the offseason. It could bring him in to be the second quarterback. They draft Quinn Ewers from Texas as the seventh rounder in the seventh round of the NFL draft. He's presumed to be coming to camp at QB3 behind Wilson and obviously Tua at QB1. Uh, Quinn Ewers has come out and he is impressed, and so it's going to be an interesting sight to see how the preseason kind of goes. If maybe the Dolphins lean closer towards maybe giving Ewers that QB2 nod instead of Wilson. Ewers, I think, fits the scheme very, very well. I think that his style of how he reads an offense and how he makes decisions and everything is very similar to how Tua does it, which makes me think that Quinn Ewers is going to be um, maybe not a starting quarterback uh, in the league, but is going to give you that chance and be the guy behind Tua when he goes out. He can come in and he kind of makes those reads on the same plane as the Dolphins QB1, giving them a better chance than in years past. They've kind of thrown out there. They've thrown Mike White out there, Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson. They've thrown those guys out there. They've struggled to read and comprehend Mike McDaniel's offense the same way that Tua does, and I think that is a big key when you're talking about a backup quarterback. Is you tailor it obviously to the starting quarterback's tendencies and strengths and tailor it away from their weaknesses. And that's a big key when you are bringing in a backup quarterback is to bring in somebody that sees the game similarly to your starting quarterback, or at the very least, you can dumb down the playbook to be a manageable size and be a game manager type of quarterback on the back and the backup side. That obviously has not been the case when McDaniel has to play with his backup quarterbacks. He kind of continues to run the same playbook, doesn't really take anything out, tries to force his backups to be something that they're not because Tua reads the field at an elite level, sees things ahead of time that it just doesn't make sense to ask a pocket passer, game manager, quarterback to do versus what Tua is able to do and how he reads the field and how he sets up plays and calls audibles or anything like that. It's very difficult to make that distinction. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how preseason goes. I wouldn't mind Ewers getting the QB2 nod. I think that all three of them, especially with that little um, emergency QB roster spot that you can have. I think that's a good thing to have viewers around, and I think he's going to be around for that reason at the very least. And even to with Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson could be somebody that in a pinch is going to come in and give you what you need to do. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins address um, their quarterback situation because it's to his team. It's always going to be to his team as long as that contract stands until um, the front office is decides that they need to move on. If that's the case and they trade him away, it's going to be to his team with that contract. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go on the backup quarterback side. I would lean right now towards Zach Wilson. He has the NFL experience. I know that it's not great. Um, he hasn't shown great play, but when you come into an NFL game for the first time as a backup quarterback, uh, if you were a rookie like Quinn Ewers would be, it's a different game. It's a different speed. It is a very different um, feeling than a college game, and I think that would kind of overwhelm a rookie sometimes. So, especially let alone a seventh round rookie. Um, so I would lean towards Zach Wilson right now, but if Quinn Ewers comes out in preseason and just balls out and earns the job outright, I think it's going to be Ewers. You could even see Zach Wilson maybe being cut, and then now he's the guy that's kind of floating around team to team um, in kind of this role of, well, we kind of just need you right now. We don't really have any other options as a backup quarterback because there will be injuries. There's always injuries. Every single year somebody gets hurt and somebody needs somebody. There's always that case, and I think that that's the case for Zach Wilson. If Quinn Ewers beats him out, is that Zach Wilson is going to go in and he's probably going to be like, okay, well, I'm going where I'm needed. And I think that if Ewers beats out Zach Wilson, I don't think anybody in the Dolphins facility in the realm and the fandom in the Dolphins building is going to think that that was the wrong decision if they think that Ewers beat him out by a mile. Now, if he beats him out by just a smidge and Zach Wilson is right there, I think that you still get to see both of them on the roster. And I still think both of them will be on the roster. But I think that if Ewers beats him out by a mile, I don't think they waste their time with Zach Wilson. And Quinn Ewers is going to be your primary and only backup to Tua if he was to go down. Some other things that are continuing to be good. The offensive line, Travis Wingfield uh, for the Dolphins said that Patrick Paul was one of the best performers and that he is has been fantastic. He's getting wins against Chop Robinson and Bradley Chubb. And Bradley Chubb actually mentioned this in his press conference later on his media availability. He said Pat Paul is having to step up in a huge way, and he is. Chubb said, I'm excited to see his growth, though. He's been doing a really good job. Uh, Obviously, Patrick Paul is taking over for Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead, probably a borderline Hall of Fame uh, caliber left tackle in the NFL, and so it's going to be a tough task to come in and be better than him, let alone play up to the standard that he set when he was on the field. Obviously, he had some injury concerns and injury issues over the past couple seasons that deterred his his production and his availability. But when Teron Armstead was on the field, he was a vocal leader and he was taking charge uh, on that offensive line. And I think that Pat Paul, while he's not going to step up into the um, veteran leader mode just yet, um, I think that he's going to step up and he's going to be a guy that the Dolphins lean on when you need to pick up 3 yards. Which side of the line are you going to run it to? And I think that they're going to say we're going to run it towards Patrick Paul, and we're going to let the big boy eat and let him go win some blocks and pick us up some extra yardage, get us that first down that we need. Wingfield said Paul's work carried over into a run heavy portion of practice. The Dolphins line created displacement and opened up holes for running backs Devon Achan and Alexander Madison. That's good to see. That's good to hear. Getting Achan's speed and space is extremely key. Um, I think that if the Dolphins are able to establish a run game, which was missing for a good portion of last season, if they can establish a run game behind Patrick Paul, Jonah Savaianai, Aaron Brewer, Austin Jackson, if they can set something up behind those guys, I think you're going to start to see the Dolphins offense really take shape because a lot of those tight end screens, those wide receiver bubble screens, all of those different screens that the Dolphins were running last year was in place of a running game that was absent, was struggling. And so when you get a run game going, and it forces the Dolphins opponents to play the run, you're going to start to see, oh, here's Tyreek 40 yards downfield because they can't play two deep safeties because they're getting beat by 8-10 yard runs every time. If that continues to happen, when they put the pads on and actually line up against another team, I think you're going to start to see this uh, explosion of the pass game along with a breakout season from Devon Achane. And that's not to say that they won't continue to use the screen game when it comes to Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Malik Washington and all their speedsters that they've got. They're going to continue using it, but they're not going to use it to the frequency that they did last year. They frequently ran out there and would run 3rd and 8 screens because they can't get anything going on the ground, and then because they can't get anything going on the ground, the passing lanes are all blocked, so they have to throw an underneath route behind the line of scrimmage and have to try and hope that they can create some space and let one of their shifty playmakers get upfield and pick up the first down. And that's one thing that happened with the Dolphins last year that really made them struggle. So to see them picking that up, it really does give me some hope that this offense is not going to be so one dimensional. It's not going to just be Tua's going to throw the ball to Tyreek and Waddle, and he's going to throw it up there and hope that it happens and hope that it lands in their basket because that's just not a healthy way to play the football game. You can't go down there and be like, we're just going to try and score a 75-yard touchdown on the first play every single drive. That's not a reasonable case to make. You have to um, really start to see how the offense is going to shape out. And it starts with winning the game in the trenches, and it starts with winning ground game. You can win the ground game, you're going to start to open up the passing lanes. If you get into a passing situation, obviously they're going to play the pass. But if you can force them to respect the run, because hey, our run has been popping off for 7 yards consistently. So when we get to a 3rd and 5, why not try and run it again? And then if we only pick up 3, well, let's run it one more time on 4th and 2 and pick up the other 3 that we need. Once they have to respect that, then the passing lanes are going to open up. There's not going to be a question about, oh, who are the Dolphins going to have to bring in and figure out what is going on the offensive line. The goal of this offseason was to revamp the offensive line. That's why they spent their second round pick and traded up to go get Jonas Savaianai. That's why they did it, which is a huge pickup. He's going to be fantastic. But you have to pair those two next to you have to pair Savaianai and Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer and Austin Jackson. You have to pair them up well with a good run game and a good scheme fit, and it should work based off of what clips I'm seeing on X and everything that I'm seeing from the Dolphins media accounts. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing. So it's going to be an interesting season to see how are they going to shake this out, because the Dolphins really do need to establish a run game first and foremost, because the second that they don't do that is the second that the Dolphins are going to get overran, and they're going to get flustered, and all of a sudden you're going to see Tua throwing 3 picks because he's trying to play hero ball, and he's going to try and chuck the ball up to Waddle and uh, Tyreek downfield, and he's going to get picked off because he has no other option. He has to try and throw the ball 40 yards downfield. So it's going to be interesting to see when they, after camp is over, and you get to preseason, who's going to go earn those jobs. Obviously, Devon Achane is going to be the number one running back. Who's going to go earn the job behind him? Obviously, Tyreek and Waddle are going to be 1 and 2 wide receivers. Who's going to be wide receiver 3? A guy that I really like, and it's not just because I'm a Missouri Tiger fan, but it's Theo Weiss. Theo Weiss complements Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle very, very well. If you look at how he played with Luther Burden, they complemented each other really well, and the Dolphins didn't really have somebody that complemented those two. They're two very similar players in Waddle and Tyreek. So to see somebody come in and complement that would be a huge addition to the Dolphins. And I think that he's going to be somebody to keep an eye on when snaps start to mean something against somebody else. Once you get through practice and once you start to see, okay, let's see what it is when you're facing somebody that's also, he's trying to earn a job, but it's also a game speed scenario versus an 11 on 11 practice session. What is it? What is it going to be? And so I think that he's somebody. I think Malik Washington is somebody that you could watch. I think that Theo Weiss would be a dark horse. I don't think that he would be the favorite. I think that uh, it's very difficult to come in as a UDFA and earn a job like that. But I think that if somebody was going to do it, Theo Weiss has shown me in the last two seasons, in the last couple of years at Mizzou, that he is capable of doing that, especially the last two with him and Burden next to each other. So one guy to watch, if I had to pick one, it'd be Theo Weiss. I think that he's going to be a fantastic player um, for the Dolphins if he can break camp and be in a role that puts him to succeed. And our last little topic here, we're going to talk about the front seven. Willie Gay, free agent signing for the Miami Dolphins, thinks that the Dolphins front seven is can be one of the best in the league. And if you look around and you see Bradley Chubb, Willie Gay, Jordan Brooks, Zach Sealer, Chop Robinson, Kenneth Grant, Jalen Phillips, there is a loaded group there in South Beach. In Miami, there's a loaded group. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And I think that Willie Gay is right. I think they have the ability to, because Chop Robinson showed that he's capable of being a game wrecker. Zach Sealer had the most sacks as a defensive tackle last year. Bradley Chubb is going to be back. Jalen Phillips is going to be back. Jordan Brooks continues to impress everybody. The front seven is going to be a fantastic group to watch, and it's going to be the backbone of that Dolphins defense, because if you can't get to home and get to the quarterback, then it's going to be very difficult to beat teams like the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs. If you cannot get home, you can't beat those guys, because their quarterbacks that they have in Mahomes and Allen and Jackson, they all can make you pay for either giving them too much time in the pocket or letting them slip free. So the front seven has to be the most important thing. And I think another thing that comes with that is your front seven can be miles ahead of your secondary, and your secondary can still be really, really good and be boosted because of it. Because if the front seven's getting home, then the quarterback's having to make quick reads, quick decisions, bad decisions. and it's going to turn into picks. It's going to turn into strip sacks. It's going to turn into PBUs on the backside of the defense. So I'm really excited to see how the next couple weeks progress. I'm looking forward to Thursday, the start of NFL football again. I'm looking forward to watching football on the TV again. Uh, I am looking forward to Thursday for another reason as well, because that's when we will be back here for the Ride Home podcast. I have been your host, Hunter Mulholland. Please like and subscribe here on YouTube and give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. Till next time, fins up.